Hello, welcome back to Think Wonky. My name is Colette Stevenson, and today we're talking about content branding. Essentially, content branding is a creative loop that simultaneously generates new content while growing your brand. It treats your branding and your messaging as equal components of your brand. So rather than creating branding that is used solely to decorate your content, you create your content and your branding in conjunction with each other. The system is something that I have been using for myself and my clients for many years. In 2021, I founded the Poster-Grid Academy, where I taught entrepreneurs and content creators how to create their own seamless feeds using just Canva. Before opening the academy, my biggest concern was how am I going to teach non-designers and non-branders how to brand and style their content? And it was from this point that I broke down the steps that I myself take when working with clients. At the time, I had no idea of the impact these steps would have on the business owners that I worked with. Initially, people signed up so that they could have a nice looking Instagram grid. But what actually happened was that these business owners were suddenly able to generate content, much more powerful content, at a higher rate. The overwhelming feedback from the course is consistently, I can't believe how easy it is for me to create content now. That's not to say that content branding is a quick fix. Content branding is not a here's how to generate 100 content ideas in 5 minutes. It's a process. It's a branding process. And essentially, once you understand your brand, creating your content and styling your content go hand in hand. So let's talk about how content branding works and how you can use it for your business. The first step is in understanding your brand. And I don't just mean understanding your brand from the inside looking out. I mean understanding your brand from the outside looking in. And this is not an easy process. In fact, as people go through these steps, there is very often resistance to some of the ideas and to some of the processes. And this resistance is natural. It tells you either that there is a gap in either your knowledge or your understanding of your own brand, and that can feel deeply uncomfortable. Or it can tell you that something is perhaps not aligned, and either you don't understand what's not aligned, or you are struggling to make a decision about which way to take your business. The simplest way that I have found to break down a brand is to divide it into 5 core components. The first one is your values, and I have to say this is the one where most people, including myself, feel resistant to. Values is one of those things that's bandied about online. It's got multiple meanings, multiple understandings, multiple interpretations, and so it makes it very, very difficult to pin down. Particularly for the independent content creator or the solo entrepreneur, it can be very, very difficult to separate core personal values from your brand values. What is it about your content, about your business, about your product, about your service that is really truly important? The second step in branding is to understand your vision. I don't just mean what you're going to be selling next week, I mean your long-term vision. Why are you doing this in the first place? What is the big goal? If you are truly setting out to create content that has any kind of impact or any kind of influence, then you need to understand what your bigger vision is. This can feel very risky. It's the kind of thing that we feel deeply uncomfortable with, because I think for many people as children, when we talk about what it is we want to do, the response of adults can be often to laugh at what a cute response it is, or to try and get us to be a bit more realistic, or in some ways to shrink our dreams. And we get this from people who love us, we get this from strangers, we get this from teachers, and as we enter teenagerhood, we can even get this from our peers. And so we become deeply uncomfortable about our bigger vision, about our bigger goal. There is no right or wrong here about what it is you're setting out to do. But the more truthful you are with yourself, and the more truthful you are with your understanding of your business, your brand, and your content, and what it is you're setting out to do, the easier it will be to do all the other steps. Once you understand your values and your vision, you then need to understand your vocation, what it is you actually do, and who you're doing it for. A little bit of why can always help. And this is the core thing with your brand. No matter what you're doing, the why is fundamental. What is your purpose? Your values give you a deep-rooted emotional purpose, a core purpose. Your vision gives you your drive, your future, your why, another purpose. And your vocation, why are you choosing this thing and not another thing? And why are you choosing to help these people and not other people? Next, we move on to vibe. The vibe is the energy that your brand generates and puts out into the world, and it's the energy that influences the emotions of others. What energy are you creating with your brand? Is it something that relaxes people, calms people, settles people, reassures people, excites people, energizes people, enthuses people? That vibe is going to influence every piece of content you put out into the world. And you need to understand what that vibe is so that you can create content that is consistent with that vibe, even if you're not feeling it on the day that you're creating that content. And the final element is voice. Your voice is your message, your promise, your tone, your words, your grammar, all those other components of your brand that influence how your content and your branding is created, perceived, received, and developed. But it's important to understand that breaking your brand down into 5 key components is only the beginning. Because essentially what you're doing over and over again is helping your audience. You're helping your audience understand who you are and how you can help them. Let's be honest, if your audience doesn't need you, they're not going to be interested in your content. And that again brings me back to your purpose. Why are you creating content? Industry leaders in any field create trends and brands that follow their core philosophy, not simply what they're told to do. Now, a large brand with a huge budget, they can do all this behind closed doors. They can run focus groups and test out ideas and test out designs and test out content before they ever go fully public with it. But for the majority of business owners, entrepreneurs, and content creators, these $1 million budgets are not available. So we have to bear all. Our development in business gets seen by the masses. But here's the thing. If you look at any major brand when they started out, you can see they did not start out perfectly. Look at the old Google logo. Look at the old Apple branding. It's not still the same today because they've developed and they've evolved. For most content creators, we evolve too. We put out our content, we put out our branding, and we evolve. And we let our content inform our branding and our branding inform our content. Treating the two things as independent from one another will double your work, and it's much, much more difficult to evolve with purpose. The one thing that all larger companies have in common is that they led with a purpose. And what content branding does is help you find your purpose and evolve it through your content and your branding. To learn more about content branding and to see future episodes on each element of the branding process, be sure to like and subscribe.